Hey everybody, welcome to this week's video. My name is Nicole and let's get started. So I've been seeing a ton of posts this last week about anxiety and I want to talk about it. So to start, I will say that if in the last week you were having stuff come up that's causing anxious, it might have been the moon. So you don't have to be into astrology to know that our moon affects our tides in the ocean. With the gravitational pull, it pulls it in and out. And because we just had a full blood blue eclipse moon in Leo, it's one of the most supercharged moons we've had in over, I think, 150 years. The last one was in 1866 when they all aligned in this way. And Leo, the sign of Leo, excuse me, my nose is itchy this morning. The sign of Leo rules the spine and heart. And from everything that my friends have sent out and that I've read, this moon was all about birthing, so having this fertility, this birthing of ideas, and unearthing of shadows to the light, so confrontation. So Leo is this fierce, on stage, big open heart, strong spine, and if you have any inner blocks or things around shining and coming forward and unearthing, looking at your shadow aspects of yourself, this could have been a very a rich experience in the last week for you of things coming up. I know it was for me. So let's talk about anxiety. So by definition, anxiety is a feeling of worry, nervousness, and or unease, typically about an imminent event or something with a certain outcome. So a reaction to situations perceived as stressful or dangerous. And for me, I think there's really three solid reasons for anxiety, and this is my personal opinion. One can be the fear of the future, the unseen outcomes, trying to control what, predicting what's going to happen and not having that control. The next is a rejection of something that's already happened. So something, again, we can't control, but that's already happened that's maybe causing us anxiety, fear, rejection, sadness, anger. And the third is external and internal overstimulants. So we live in a society that's highly charged and our bodies were not meant to be on the go all the time. So if you have these external stressors from your job and your relationships and traffic and commuting and working long hours, doing all these things externally, and then if you're internally taking in foods that overstimulate your body like caffeine, alcohol, sugars, processed grains, and then also emotionally maybe having toxic relationships, there's going to be this combination where your body is using anxiety as an alarm system to let you know that something's not right. So the first part of this that we'll get into for my tips and tools for dealing with anxiety. Before we get into it, I just want to say I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, and these are things that I've used that work for me when I've experienced anxiety. But if you're having chronic anxiety, please go seek out some kind of medical therapist, doctor, naturopath, something, and someone who you can work with to really get to the root cause of what's causing your anxiety. I can definitely give you things that I've used, but I cannot prescribe, treat, or heal anyone. That is your journey, and I am kind of more of the guide on the side here to give you some tips and tools to dig deeper and hopefully things that will help assist you and ease some of the discomfort. So let's get started. The first for anxiety is to honor that it is your body's way of letting you know that something's not right. And what I mean by this is whether it's externally, internally, maybe it is a fear of the future. It's your body's alarm system to let you know that something's up. And be thankful for that. Your body's working, it is speaking to you, and being in touch with that means you're not crazy. So even though it might not feel good, and I know anxiety and panic things do not feel good, I have experienced it and it's the worst. But I think taking a moment to really honor that, okay, something's coming up, and in the same way that you would work with a small child that's having an emotional outburst, because they have them often and usually in different, schizophrenic emotional states that kids seem to roll in, but throughout one entire day. But taking a moment to soften with yourself and say, okay, I see that you're letting me know something's not working, and taking a moment to dig a little bit deeper and notice what is causing it. So if you're overworked, if you you're financially strapped and feeling like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, or you are a stay-at-home mom and have a ton of kids running around and you feel like a crazy person because you're trying to manage these little people and still get things done around the house. Whatever it is, if you have these external factors that you feel like you can't control, that can definitely cause anxiety. So taking a moment to honor your body, knowing that your body is letting you know that something's not working for you. And then honoring those, digging a little bit deeper, honoring whatever it is that's coming up, and taking a moment to feel whatever it is. So while I don't recommend, going into work and just start crying because your life is a disaster, which sometimes it happens, but to be able to feel the feels. And I think, if you're at work and something's coming up, journaling is a really great way. Take, a 20-minute break, go find, shut your office door, go outside and find somewhere that you can just journal it out, because putting it to paper at least discharges that energy to some extent. So being able to free write, not to edit anything that you're writing and just be like, I feel crazy right now, I can't breathe, my anxiety is back, like whatever those feelings are. I hate my job, I want to quit. Just journal it out, free write it out, and start to let the energy discharge in that way. Another thing that you can do is to get outside. So allowing yourself to get your feet in the earth. So not just out in the concrete, but getting your feet into the earth, getting your hands in the earth. So gardening is a really magical way to ground really fast. And just getting somewhere out in nature. And I realize that if you're working downtown, you might have to compartmentalize it a bit and wait until you can get home, but to not try and compartmentalize anxiety to the point where you don't ever deal with it. And that's usually what most of us do, because we're just trying to get through the day and live our lives, and not dealing with these things is a quick fix, and it can work for a while, but in the long run, not dealing with it is going to cause greater outbursts because your body is going to be speaking even louder. So doing these things when you can, the more often you can do them when they come up initially, the less the end anxiety will feel, the bigger bang, so to speak. Another thing is to eat warm root foods. So any root vegetables, stews are really great for this, especially, or bone broth. And doing, especially first thing in the morning, doing a warm porridge or a stew or bone broth is really grounding. And if you are having higher anxiety, I would stay away from cold foods. Sometimes it's a little bit harder for people that do raw vegan things, but actually eating cold raw foods is really taxing on your system, and it takes a lot more energy and it stimulates your system. So being able to do warm root foods and can be really nourishing and soothing. And along the lines of what you're taking in internally, to cut caffeine, alcohol, and processed sugars, processed grains. I know that on the go, drinking coffee in the morning to wake up and get, you're exhausted, and then at the end of the day, you're going to happy hour to try and like take the edge off from your day, and then you're eating, fried fast foods when you're going out to lunch with coworkers or a happy hour. And this really is a cocktail for anxiety, because your system is being charged in all these different ways and all these stimulants, and it's exhausted. So taking those foods out, especially to prevent overstimulation, is a big one. But if you are feeling these anxiety feelings, taking them out definitely will help a lot. And then adding in the nourishing foods. And then the last couple parts here, anxiety can also kind of get locked in your system. So if you've ever experienced trauma at any point, especially childhood trauma, your body can naturally kind of freeze in this fight or flight state. And it's kind of more like where you operate from on a nervous system level. And a really great book about this is from Dr. Peter Levine, and it's called Healing Trauma. His book is amazing. His work is amazing. And so if you know you've experienced trauma, this book really helped me in dealing with things that I experienced at a young age. And it can really help for you to better understand how your body works and how more tools on how to deal with anxiety when it comes up for you. The last part here, because this video is getting a little bit long, is equal part breaths. So this is used for centuries in yoga, and the military uses it. I love Brene Brown talks about using this as well. I love her work also. But this breathing can really help with anxiety. So we'll talk about it, and then I'll set you on your way and you can try these out for yourself. So the equal part breath, you'll find a comfortable seat. So either cross-legged, maybe sitting upright on your bed. Set a timer for 10 minutes. So this amount of time allows your body to actually settle in and start to reset. Anything shorter than this, you're just gonna go straight back into the fight or flight conversation in your head. So taking at least 10 minutes to do a 4 equal part breaths. So to start, you'll inhale for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause. Exhale for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause. Inhale for 4. Pause. Exhale for 4. Pause. And you can count in your own head while you're going. And if you are like mid panic attack or really strong anxiety, keep the pause at 1 in between your breaths. So if you try and hold your breath when you're having an anxiety attack, it will probably make you feel worse and exacerbate your feelings of the panic. So only do the 1 second pause. If you start doing that and the 4 inhale, 4 exhale is starting to help, then take your pause up to 2 seconds, then to 3, and then to 4. So equal parts, you'll do 4 count inhale, 4 count pause, 4 count exhale, 4 count pause, and then continue. But if it's like really hitting you, keep the pauses in between shorter, because that sense of like closing in, you're already feeling that. So maybe keep the pauses shorter in between at first. Try this out, do it for at least 10 minutes. And then after the 10 minutes, then do a free journal, right? And see if you can dig deeper to see what the anxiety is. And then kind of sit with your feelings, observe them, and know that it's not going to be forever. This is a temporary feeling, and trust that things are going to shift, and align with that trust and confidence and connection in yourself that you've got this. And I hope these tips help. I know this is a longer video, so thanks for sticking around. And I'll see you next week. If you have any questions, tips, or tricks, anything you want to talk about, post below in the comments and I'll get back to you. And I'll see you next week. Have a great week. Thanks.